Hello artists, we are back and today we're going to be adding the color to our shape designs. And I think that you probably, if you did the first step, you can choose what you want to use for the next part. It's basically just going to be coloring in different areas. We're going to use crayons, and here's Greta. Say hi.
Hi, Dada.
So Greta is going to do her picture, and I'm going to do mine while we do this next video using all of these shapes that we made. So the idea with this is that you're going to try to find, sort of ignore, especially if you did overlapping. If you didn't do overlapping, you can do this differently. But if you did overlapping, you want to basically change some of these into new shapes, kind of ignoring the basic big shape that you did before. So for example, here is a shape, and I'm going to color that shape in with some brownish red and look at it like a separate shape, as if this boundary from here to this line to up here and then all the way around these spikes from before, or prongs, or whatever you want to call them, the comb, those are all creating a new shape. So that's my first new shape, and then you're going to find some other new shapes. So you're not really looking anymore at what those big original shapes were, but you're finding new shapes inside of the shapes that you made in the first place. So there's one of my first new shapes, which is just a section of that big shape of the comb and a section of that big loop that I made. I guess I'm going to do another section so you can get a good idea of what I'm talking about, and then I'll do some more on my own and come back. So here's another small shape. Oh, the other thing that you can do, which I'm not doing right now, but you can do this, it will make things easier, is to decide where you want to have the same color in different parts of your picture. So for example, here I have purple. I'm going to do purple here. I just did some purple right up there. I may do some purple up here in that little shape. I could do some purple here. And then I could switch colors, and it will actually make this go a lot faster if you keep the same color and then switch a little bit later on. Here's a shape that I didn't really overlap, so I can just do anything I want with that one. And if you didn't overlap your shapes, you can color them any way that you want to, really. So there is the start of this. I'm going to do a little bit more, and then we'll come back so you can see what I've done. So here are a few more of my new shapes that I've filled in with color. Here, 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 here. And you want to get, I would say, at least, now if you're somebody that likes to color, you can do the entire thing. If you're someone that likes to paint, you can do some of these, and then you could do a resist like we did with the first abstract project. But anyway, I would say 3/4 of this should be colored with marker or crayon. So I'm going to keep going, and I'll show you what I mean by 3/4, okay? Now here I'm maybe not quite halfway done yet, but I wanted to show you the artist that I was inspired by with this. Now some of you have already looked at some of this artist's work. His name is Kandinsky, and the piece that I'm going to show you, he uses shapes and intersects those shapes with lines, kind of like what we're doing with this project. So this is one of his works. This one's called Variation in the Triangle, and it's, if you can look at it, you can see some of the same idea that we're doing with this project. He's got a large shape that gets separated into smaller shapes. These are very specific shapes that are very abstract: circles, triangles, rectangles. What other shapes do you see in it? And then he has some other lines that kind of come out on the outside of it. And with ours, we are using more organic shapes. So he has a lot of very specific types of shapes. So ours is a bit more specific to those objects, because even though you might not recognize them as much once you color them like this, eventually you can see still, like, this was sunglasses, this was a tape roll. Okay. Oop. So what I was going to say about this piece by Vasily Kandinsky was that similar to what we're doing here, he painted all of these shapes really precisely, and then the outside of it he just used kind of a watercolor loose paint. So if you're at the point where you've got most of your picture colored in with crayons, especially with crayons, but you could also do marker, you just have to be careful, because if you get the marker wet, it will get smeary a little bit, like you'll get this kind of effect happening. You can start to paint it if you do not want to just color. I'm personally going to color it. I also wanted to show you, there's another image that we have looked at. If you are in one of my younger classes and all the way through second grade, if you remember looking at this painting, we looked at that painting a little bit earlier in the school year. So this painting he did with circles that are separated from each other, and the one that we're looking at today, he also was really interested in shapes and colors. These are all some of his work, which he started getting interested in this kind of thing a lot later, so making these very specific shapes. So I just wanted to show you that too. So this is about the point that I would call a little more than 3/4 of the way colored in. And I also wanted to show you that some of the inside large shapes, like from here to here, this is a very large shape where I didn't put a lot of objects, so it becomes kind of a background, and I decided to just blend some of those colors so I wasn't just doing the same color. That was just a choice that I made. It's something that you might want to try if you wanted to. So at this point, if you've gotten this much colored or almost this much colored, this is where if you wanted to try using some watercolor paints or a different kind of material, maybe marker, that would be a good point to do it. You can also just keep going with the crayons if you're enjoying coloring with crayons. And so that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to keep coloring everything in because I think it's so cool. It looks like a puzzle or something to me. So I would recommend to you just keep going, and please continue sending me your pictures via email. Have them send them in to me directly. That way I can post them on to Seesaw, and everybody will be able to see your work at once. It's a little hard for me to find everybody's if you post it yourself. So just go ahead and keep sending them to me. That way I can also give you comments. Great work, everyone. Enjoy, and I will talk to you again really soon. Bye-bye.